How's it going, everyone? Hope you're all keeping well, and welcome back to a new episode of Off the Grid. If you missed the previous one where we were at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the oval course ahead of the Indy 500, make sure you check that one out before we get into this one, where once again we are at another venue of part of the Motorsport Triple Crown as we head to Le Mans in France. But for this one, instead of being on the longer circuit, which there's enough people have driven F1 cars around, we are on the shorter Bugatti circuit, which these days hosts MotoGP. Located 200 kilometers to the southwest of Paris, we go off the track a bit there. First opened in 1965, with this version of the track opening in 2002. Just over 4.1 kilometers in length, or 2.6 miles, with 13 turns, 9 to the right and the other 4 to the left. It's hosted the French Grand Prix back in 1967, its only time hosting a Formula 1 World Championship event, and that was won by Mr. Jack Brabham, who led home a Brabham 1-2 for his team. But as we get going here for our first sighter lap, have a look around the track. Heading on to the iconic pit straight, and this is the first of two DRS zones. A little bit sketchy as we head flat out through Dunlop Curve and then into the first chicane. Very tricky to get a good exit here as the back end of the car wants to step out. And now we head down the hill and flick it right as we deviate from the 24-hour circuit. Back on the throttle then as we head through a couple of hairpins, but not tight ones. You can take a lot of speed through these, and now onto one of the more important corners of the track. This hairpin heading on to the second DRS straight. That corner there, kind of one fluid motion, but it's kind of two corners at the same time. Now we try a quicker braking zone for this very fast chicane. Left and then right. The back end of the car wants to step out. Want to use all the track we can there as we head into yet another very fast chicane. Very flowing circuit as most MotoGP ones are. And now we come to the final two corners. It's double right-hander. And that is a lap around the Le Mans Bugatti circuit. But as we get ready to start our 30-minute session now, going on to our first flying lap, with a target set of 1 minute 11 dead, which could be pretty tricky to beat here, but we will see what I can do on this first flying lap. It's actually surprisingly easy to take Dunlop flat with the RS open, which I wasn't really expecting, but good to know the car doesn't get too light or anything on the back end. Going a bit deep there. One thing to know is that the brake marker boards, there isn't a lot of them around here. The ones that there aren't very visible or very helpful. So you kind of have to find your own braking references as we're going a bit deep there through that chicane. Very easy to lose the back end there, as you can see, as we go into anti-stall. Coming around the final corner then for our first lap, opening DRS, and it's going to be a 117.6, so about 6.5 seconds to try and find to beat our target. So we'll keep going, see how it goes on this second lap. That's a lot of time there, going in a bit deep. Very bumpy into that double right-hander, which does make it a bit trickier to get right, get the braking perfect and hit the apex. Can't really cut that curb too much or to bottom out and upset the balance of the car. And it just same with that one, can't really take too much curve or you'll end up spinning out. So tricky little track here. We have our benchmark, a lot of time to try and find, but go back to the pits now, make a few setup changes and see if we can take a couple of seconds off our time. So as you've just seen, we got down to 116.2 on our first lap with the new setup, and then we were improving again on our second lap but had a bit of a spin. So we're going to get going again here now. Like I've mentioned in a previous episode, don't really know what I'm doing with the setup, so most of it was just taking off a bit of downforce, taking a bit of fuel out and playing with the ERS deployment as we get a bit sketchy there into the first chicane. But still a lot of time to find now with under 20 minutes left of our 30, and I'm finding this track is, it's one where it wants you to try and push, but if you push just that little bit too hard it really bites and yeah, there's no real recovering for it. This turn here is one I'm really struggling with. If I brake too late, I'm getting upset by the bumps and going too wide, but then I brake a little bit earlier and I'm not really carrying enough speed. So very tricky one to get right. Same with that chicane there. You want to push as much as you can, but get the first turn in just a little bit wrong and you're going to get the second part wrong as well and not get the greatest exit. But through the final two turns now we're going to improve slightly as we don't get that very well. Only going to improve by a tenth. Still in the 116s and 116.1, so I'll put my head down for a couple of minutes. That doesn't really go too well, just trying to take a bit too many liberties with the track there on the entry into Dunlop. But yeah, I'm going to put my head down now and focus for a couple of minutes and see if we can knock a couple of seconds off this time. We're on a good lap there and I saw the delta degree by so much and myself basically. So unfortunate there, but luckily we get to go again. So hopefully we can match the first two sectors and just get the final sector a bit cleaner. Again, just the last sector letting me down. We're a couple of tenths up and then we basically matched it, improved by just a couple of hundredths. First chicane here on that last lap wasn't the best either. And you can see we're about 4 tenths up already, just getting that a bit cleaner. So hopefully get the rest of the lap somewhat the same, maybe a bit better. And just once again tidy up that last sector. That last chicane is really my Achilles heel around here, it seems. tidy it up that time. Going to improve by about 1.5 seconds down to 1:14.6. Still about 3.5 seconds off. Once again, just that final chicane. Seems that there's a little bit of a bump just right on the apex, which upsets the balance of the car. The rear wants to step out, and yeah, you kind of have to carry a bit less speed than you would ideally want to through there, just to keep the car facing in the right direction and make sure you can keep going as fast as you can basically. This lap kind of hasn't been going great so far, so I think I'm going to go back to the pits with just under 7 minutes left, make our final few adjustments to the setup, and then probably have about 3 more laps to see if we can find pretty much a second lap. It's going to be tough, but see how close we can get. Trying to get a bit too aggressive there on the throttle, trying to extract every bit of time I can now. Big snap there, again out of, I think that's turn 3, getting on the power a bit too early, going off track then. Wasn't the best start to the lap anyway, we're about 7 or 8 tenths down through the first chicane, so we're going to have to do a lot to even just beat our personal best for the rest of that lap. But just over 1 minute left now, so we'll be able to start one more flying lap, and then that will be it for our attempts here at the Le Mans Bugatti circuit. So yeah, going to fully send it once again, and I don't think we're going to end up getting a 1 minute 11, but maybe we can try and get down under the 1:14s. Not the greatest start though, getting a bit of a oversteer moment on the exit of the final corner, so we're gonna already have to try and make up some time throughout this lap. And that is our day done. First time actually I've spun out of that chicane during this session, which is a surprise because when I race around here on iRacing, I nearly always have moments out of that chicane, just getting on the gravel and lighting up the rears. But time is up now, our 30 minutes is over. Unfortunately we weren't able to beat the target set to us of a 1 minute 11, our best being a 1 minute 14.6. So that is what modern Formula 1 cars would look like around the Le Mans Bugatti circuit. A very fun track to drive, very flowing as I mentioned during the session, as most of the motorcycle tracks are. The corners kind of have to be like that to be able to suit the bikes, and in a lot of ways because of that is similar to say Qatar, with a lot of hairpin type corners that you can carry a lot of speed through, and you have to really nail the speed through them, getting on the throttle, and the rear of the car wants to step out on every occasion where you want to get the power down, which does make it a very fun challenge. In terms of seeing F1 around here in real life, I wouldn't actually mind it. I think it would really suit Formula 1. As I mentioned, it's kind of like Qatar, and the racing there is pretty good, and it's definitely wide enough where racing could be possible, and maybe down the line a couple of new regulations where dirty air isn't as bad. I think Formula 1 could actually really thrive around here. But let me know down in the comments if the French Grand Prix was to return to the calendar, which I feel that it should it come to this track in Le Mans like it did back in the 60s, go to Le Castellet, Paul Ricard, like it has in the not so distant past, or to Magny-Cours where Formula 1 raced at in the bit more distant past, but still not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. But that's it for this episode of Off the Grid. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe before you go. But till the next one, thanks for watching. See you then.